this lesson, we will discuss about polymorphism, the fourth and last object-oriented principle in our series. Poly means many. Morph means transformation. So it loosely means many forms. The most practical usage of polymorphism principle is method overloading and overriding. We will see those two with examples in a little bit. Let us take a look at the definition of polymorphism. Polymorphism is the capability of a method to do different things based on the object that it is acting upon. In other words, polymorphism allows you to define one interface and have multiple implementations. So you can define a method in a parent class and a subclass, the exact same method, and you can make use of whichever method you want to at runtime by the concept of method overriding. So polymorphism gives the option to use the same method names in different ways. That is just one piece of polymorphism. Technically, a Java object is considered a polymorphic when it passes is a condition test. So what does it mean by that is, so for example, you have an interface, vegetarian. I know we haven't discussed interfaces, but assume that it's a kind of class, okay? So it's a class, a vegetarian, and another class, animal, and the deer class extends animal and vegetarian. So it has both of the methods of animal and vegetarian, right? For the deer class. So the deer class is considered to be a polymorphic because it is able to meet the is a rule for a polymorphic object, because a deer is a animal, a deer is a vegetarian, a deer is a deer, and a deer is an object. So every class in Java is an object. So is a object is also a condition it was able to meet. So if you ignore this, because we are comparing deer to deer, and every Java class by itself will extend an object implicitly. So we can ignore these two for now, but technically speaking, if a deer is an animal and a deer is a vegetarian, so this is showing us polymorphic behavior. For now, treat this as a theory for now. The more practical usage of polymorphism comes when we discuss method overloading and overriding. So what is method overloading? If you declare a same method but different method signature within the same class, that is within the deer class, you declare a method eat and no parameters, and you declare eat method with parameters. Let us say you will pass what it is going to eat. In case of deer, you can pass grass or leaves, whatever you want to. But there are two methods, one takes a parameter, one does not take a parameter. So that concept itself is called method overloading. Same method name within the same class but different parameters That's method overloading. And method overriding is same method name with parameters in the superclass and subclass that we have seen in our previous example of inheritance for eat method. We will see it again. So in that case, we are overriding superclass eat method with subclass eat method. When you call eat of your subclass, then your subclass eat method will be called. Get it? So overriding is literally we are taking away the method of the superclass and overriding with the method of subclass. Whereas overloading is same method name but different method signature within the same class. There is no concept here of a subclass and superclass. Within the dir class itself, you are using the same method signature. This makes more sense once we start writing some code. Let us do that. So in this example, in dog.java, we have a method eat, and we have a method eat again in superclass, right? When we ran this class before, run as Java application, eat in dog class is printed. So if you go back here into the dog class, eat in dog class, this is printed when we called eat of dog object. So this eat method is overriding the eat method of its superclass. That itself the polymorphic behavior, because you are controlling which method to call by overriding it. Suppose if we don't have this method here in dog class, I deleted the method and I'm saving this dog class and going back to calling main.java and running this main method so that to instantiate the dog class. So if I run this, you can notice only simply eat is printed, which is basically eat from animal.java. There is nothing overridden here. That is why the parent class eat is called. If I put back this eat method in dog class, save it and run it again, we will print the method from the dog class, which is the subclass. Now we are overriding the superclass eat method with the eat method in the subclass. So that's one of the practical uses of polymorphism. Since we have seen overriding, now let us see overloading. It's very easy to get this concept. What we have to do in overloading is create a different method with the same method name but different method signature. So here, string type of food, and here I will sys out something more reasonable so that we know what it is eating. Dog is eating and write down, sys out what type of food it is eating. So Control S, save that. Let us go back to calling main where we created our dog object. Here we are calling dog object dot eat, and again dog object dot eat. Now you can notice Eclipse is suggesting there is one more method with the eat. So in this case, I will type what type of food it is eating. Let us make it eat pedigree. Control S, right click, run as Java application. Dog in dog class is called with the first eat method, and the second one we are overloading. We are creating the same eat method but which takes a parameter. So dog is eating pedigree, whatever we passed. So if we go to that eat method, it takes the type of food, right? So here eat method and eat method with a different parameter. So this concept is called method overloading. We are overloading the same method but which takes different parameters. So polymorphic behavior, a different kind of behavior, can be achieved if you can use these two concepts. One is overriding and overloading. For some reason, I want to pass in a value for eating. So then I can declare a method with the same name but with the parameters that it can take. Right? That is overloading. Overriding is I have this behavior in my parent class, but I want slightly different behavior for my subclass. Eating is common across animals, but dogs, let us say, they chew and swallow. You want to implement a little different for a dog. So you can do that by overriding. So again, a different behavior can be achieved by using overriding. So these are two principles or concepts within the polymorphism: overloading and overriding. They have different names. Let us take a look at them so that you don't feel like, what is this new concept? So let us go back into our document here, and overloading and overriding are used to implement polymorphism. Polymorphism is classified into compile time polymorphism, or early binding, or static binding. You see all these kinds of different words that you can use for method overloading. And runtime polymorphism, late binding, or dynamic binding are used for overriding. So method overriding is one of the ways in which Java supports runtime polymorphism. Method overloading is one of the ways in which Java supports compile time polymorphism. So what it means is, when compile time and runtime are the keywords here, right? Compile time and runtime. Compile time, let us click on compile time. So compile time is basically overloading. If you go back here, by the time I will run and compile this and run, I already know that I will be calling which method based upon the method signature itself. So that is compile time. And runtime is basically until I instantiate the class, I don't know whether I'm calling the method in the subclass or superclass until I instantiate the object, which is at the runtime. So that is overriding. Overriding deals with the superclass and subclass, whereas overloading will happen within the same class itself. A different method signature within the same class will make it overloading, right? So the primary concept is overloading and overriding, and these are the different names for overloading and overriding in different contexts. So with that, I will conclude this lesson on polymorphism. Now you can move on to the next one. Thank you.